Supernatural Season 10, Episode 10, The Hunter Games. I think it was a really good comeback for this season. I think it was a good episode. And my favorite part about it is the fact that some of the characters were just really, really different in this one. Like, particularly Cass and Crowley. And both of them had some pretty interesting moments in the last couple episodes, especially with Cass and not only the mid-season finale, but the episode before that, because he came off of like, alright, so I have to lose all my grace and stuff. I have to deal with this. Then I have to deal with the fact that I'm in this guy's body whose soul slash mind slash pretty much everything except for his body is just gone and somewhere else in heaven. And then he has to, in the mid-season finale, he goes back and actually finds the little girl, and it's like, she's all grown up. Her life, because of me, or at least mostly because of me, is pretty crappy. Your mom left her to figure things out, so now she's just off on her own. And he's kind of dealing with all that stuff in this episode, and he doesn't really know what to do. And it's interesting to watch him act that way. Like, he's, to say this, but he is growing as a human character, and it's really cool to see that. I always love that. I think my favorite line from him this episode was when he was talking to the girl, and he's like, maybe we all have a little bit of a monster in us. And I thought that was really cool coming from the Angel character. Even if he does, he's recognized the fact that he's done some crappy stuff on multiple occasions, but it was still cool to just hear that specific line coming from Cass. I really thought that was sweet. And then with Crowley, he's just kind of dealing with the fact that his mother is back in his life and he has no idea what to do. And I really love this sort of manipulation game that his mother's playing, because initially it was really easy. Like, even in this episode, you can see how easy it is for him to just push her aside. It's like she's trying to act like she gives a crap, and he's like, yeah, okay, whatever, and he brushes her aside. And then by the end of this episode, there are little things that she's done that kind of mess with his head, because he was kind of just stuck, like, well, I don't really just want to flat out kill her off, because otherwise he would have, but it's his mother, so it's like, it's much more difficult for him than it would be for any other character he could pretty much come across. And it was really cool to watch. Like, he's having this weird dream, and as soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, he's dreaming. And once he woke up, that's when I thought that, oh, like, she did a spell or something, and of course she had like the little hex bag. And that was simple. She put that little seed in his head, and then at the end of the episode, when she kills the guy, the two big things in his mind were like, I had a vision of my people attacking me, and how the heck did he know? He wasn't even thinking about, like, kind of the missing element that was, oddly enough, right in front of his face. So I thought it was really cool that he's getting manipulated piece by piece, and he just thinks like, oh, I saw this somehow, it was just a little dream that I had, and then this happens, and how did he even know about this, and all these little components. So it was really cool to get that aspect. I still loved, I don't know if it was really the main story. Like, this one really was, I feel, split into 3 stories, even though, like, the casting, I think, was the smallest portion. It kind of had 3 evened out stories, and then the stuff with Dean and, Sam trying to figure out the stuff with the Mark. I was really excited to see that come back, because that's what I've been waiting for. That's what I was hoping for this season. Like, they would find some way to bring back, it didn't have to be, Demon Dean, which it isn't, but it's still an uncontrollable Dean. So I'm glad they brought that back officially. It ended with the mid-season finale. He killed those guys, and it was just like, that's it, and we didn't get to see anything. We had to wait, and it was cool. It was a great startup. We got Metatron back in it, and he's kind of going right back up to heaven. So I don't really know how that's gonna play out. What his role is gonna be in future episodes of the season. But it was good in this one. It was definitely a nice start to seeing him really like mess with Dean again, and him just kind of being his cocky self. Like, he's sort of cocky, but at the same time not really cocky. And he gave that little bit of info to Dean, maybe on purpose, maybe by accident. I think he was just kind of saying it like he was ready to die, so he just said it. But whatever it is, like, it has to do with the Mark, basically him killing an angel. Like, it has something to do with that. That's what I assumed from what he said. It was like the I can't remember the exact phrase. It was something like, it ends, like, the flow of the river ends where it began, or something like that. And I believe it's because he has to kill someone or do something specifically to an angel. And we haven't really seen that, so, I don't know what will happen in that case. Or maybe we probably haven't, I just don't remember it. But I think it'll be really cool. I'm excited to see. It was great to see that they kind of referenced Cain specifically in this episode, where it's like, Sam was saying, like, he lived with it for a long time, and yet he was evil, but at the same time, he lived with it still. He controlled it for the most part. So Dean has the ability to do that. He's just at this point in time, he's not exactly strong enough. And I'm sure, with Kane, it was kind of the same way. I'm sure that was hundreds upon hundreds of years before he was like, okay, he lost his wife, I believe it was. And that's when it kind of, switched. Like, she asked him to do that, and, that was pretty much it for him. But I thought this was a good episode. I'm excited to see where they take things. I don't know what's going to happen with Crowley. Really, I don't know what's going to happen with Cass, because right now he's fine. And we got to see him in this episode use his powers, which was really risky because, they kind of had to get to Dean to stop him from killing Metatron. But there was a big chunk, of that scene. It lasted maybe like 10 seconds long. And Sam's just like ramming into the door, and Cass has to stand there because it's like, you could tell, like he could easily just like blow this door away, but he just got more grace, and it won't put him down to where he was previously before that happened when Crowley saved him and basically said, "You owe me," but it definitely takes him down. He like blew that door away, and it kind of took him down. They didn't really point it out too much in this episode, but that was like the main thing. He couldn't just walk up and be like, "Don't worry, Sam," and just blow the door away. He had to let Sam kind of do his thing before he could really step in. Like, crap, Sam can't do it in time, and I can see that. I have to step in and use, this limited grace that I have. So I'm still really excited for that. He kind of mentioned in this episode how he still has to mend things with Heaven. So I'm excited to see if that plays a bigger role, maybe like later in the season, if there are still going to be some people on the fence. I was a little surprised when he mentioned that because I thought it was kind of just, over, but there are still those stragglers, I guess, so they could easily just decide, like, I know you convinced me to come back to Heaven, but they could easily just decide to go right back to Earth if they want to, so there is still that element to it. And then, of course, the stuff with Dean, I don't know, possibly just going crazy, not really being a demon anymore, but losing his mind a little bit. I'm excited for that. We got the first blade back, so depending on how things go with Crowley and his mother, he might have to kind of toss that blade Dean's way, like, hey, I can't kill her either because, she's my mother, or what I think it might end up being is she's just way too powerful as a witch. So I kind of need you to, deal with this, and then we'll kind of deal with that next step of you having the blade again, and we'll, find some way to separate it from you or something. But I think this was a good episode. I'm not 100% excited for next week because it seems like it's going to be another filler. I'm definitely excited to see Charlie come back because her last episode I thought was pretty cool. Her going to, Oz and stuff. And she comes back in this episode. She seems evil, so maybe she's been corrupted. Or maybe in the episode she comes back and then something happens and that's when she gets evil or whatever. I'm still excited for that. I hope they do reference Dorothy, whether she's in Oz or if she's back as well or something. Because I liked her character. When they had her, like, I thought that was a really cool thing. It's a character we all kind of know, but in that, in Supernatural, she was like really badass. So hopefully, if she's not in it, they at least reference that and they leave the possibility open for her to come back in another season. Which I believe I just recently saw that they were doing a season 11, which didn't surprise me. They would have said this was the final season, if it was anyway. But I thought this was a good comeback episode. Like I said, with next week seemingly being a filler, I really hope it's not, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be. That's a little disappointing because, if you saw some of my other reviews for this season, I did mention how a lot of episodes this season have been filler. Like, I think it's honestly half and half. It's filler. Some of the fillers have been really good, like the 200th episode I enjoyed. The one after that, when they did like the Clue type of episode in the house, I love that episode. That's honestly one of my favorites this season because it was so funny to me. But next week seems like another filler episode. But I did love this one. I thought it was a great comeback, a mid-season premiere. I thought it was a really good episode. It really did have like an even story. It picked up right after the mid-season finale, so we got to see exactly what Cass was doing with the girl. I can't think of her name at all. Claire, actually. I shouldn't have been able to forget that because of Resident Evil. But, we got to see exactly what Cass was doing with her. We got to see the manipulation with Crowley and his mother and her. Not only manipulating him, but manipulating some of his underlings, and how she, tricked the one guy with like the crazy little mustache and the beard, and then she, kills him off in the end, which wasn't really too surprising, but her actually getting away with that was surprising to me. I thought he kind of busted her, and I would have loved that just because I wanted to see, if he actually caught her, if he was pushed to make this decision, what would he really choose? Because at this point, he doesn't have to. He doesn't know she's kind of trying to, get him out of the way. But if he found out 100% like she's trying to take over. I want to see what he's going to do, and I think we're going to get that, much later, like towards the end of the season. That'll probably be the big choice he has to make. So I think that's what I'm most excited for, just from this episode, I think, because they got the stuff with Metatron, so they're going to have to wait to do that. But the Crowley thing is just, it's going to right there. So I'm excited for what we're going to get this season. Of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please put your comments down in the comment section below. Your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. What do you guys think is going to happen with Crowley and his mother? Like I said, I think for now that's my favorite thing to really see. Like, how is that going to play out? How is she going to continue to manipulate him? Is she going to manipulate other people and, not end up killing them, or not end up having them die in some way by the end of the episode? I want to know what you guys think, because I'm almost 100% sure she's going to end up being the main villain. Like, even more than Crowley, he's going to be like, as much as, you're my mother, you gotta go because you're trying to, mess up my business. So I think that's how it's gonna play out. But like I said, I want to know what you guys think. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.